special guest today, our Head of Education, Mr. Brian Schroeder, sir. Thank you for joining us today. In absentia will join us later, the Deputy Director General, Dr. Peter Beers. We also have, and this is, and I know I'm probably going to be pelted when I get back to the office, but just like Lady District, she is our champion, she's our leader, our visionary. She is the matriarch of our particular district, and it's a great honor and privilege for me to welcome our District Director, Mr. Ned Navas. In absentia, ladies and gentlemen, Walker will join us a little later. And what we call, once you are born in Central, you always are a Centralian. And so what I'd like to say is, welcome home from the Grey Palace to the Paradise World, Miss Christelle Barkhazen. And you know Christelle used to be an e-learning advisor, and she is now Deputy Chief Education Specialist at Head Office in the e-learning directorate, ladies and gentlemen. So Christelle, thank you so much for being with us today. Our guest speaker, Mr. Louis Pinar. I haven't seen Mr. Pinar, perhaps he's still on his way, and he's our second guest speaker today. In absentia as well, who will join us later, Dr. Brunt, who is Directorate with regards to teacher development, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Brunt plays a pivotal role when it comes to teacher development, especially in e-learning. And then I'd like to welcome what we call a new kid on the block, and also Deputy Chief Education Specialist at Head Office, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, I always tease this particular lady because when we were in our younger days, we played volleyball together, but I remember we had some wonderful victories together and some when we versed each other, so to speak, in the good old Sasa days. And so for e-admin, ladies and gentlemen, the lady who knows how to dig, spike, and volleyball, Miss Wanda Conrad. For those of you who don't know from Hewitt, Wanda really stood the test of time with us. And I'd like to just very briefly go through them in no particular order, ladies and gentlemen. Macmillan Education, PPM, who is one of our main sponsors today, and you'll see a number of prizes, so don't leave. If you're not here today, you won't be getting your prize. Shooter and Shooter, Snaplify, Oxford, Pearson, IT Schools, Via Africa, Cambridge, Microsoft, Edit, and Think Ahead. So thank you to all our partners for being here today and realizing the vision that we have with regards to the, Metro Central takes pride in the fact that we do online registration and that we have a paperless conference. That's what it's all about, going green at the end of the day. And so before we go any further, I would also like to welcome two directors that I have seen here today. Dr. Brian Wilson from Cape Winelands, the head of curriculum from Cape Winelands, Dr. Brian Wilson, and then the director of Cape Winelands as well, Mr. Juan Benjamin. Can I just see they've come here today, ladies and gentlemen, and just put your hands up, thank you. Head of curriculum, Dr. Wilson, and Mr. Benjamin, and they've come to learn today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you have received your online registration. Your tickets have been scan-coded. If not, during our plenary, after our plenary session for tea time, Mr. Mulaji will then be outside once again to scan your electronic ticket for you. You will also notice you've received, so the entire program has been printed for you. It's in your lanyard around your neck, and I just need to do some of the paraphernalia, so please just bear with me. On behind of that, ladies and gentlemen, you have the program for the day, as well as the floor plan. Thereafter, you will notice we've got all our beautiful guests here today and our sponsors, and as I've said, please do not throw away the lanyard as well as your program, because this particular program, ladies and gentlemen, will qualify you for the draw. And of course, I'll keep you in anticipation, but I will just slip one thing. If you see the visualizer, that is one of many prizes. And it's not the only visualizer to be won. Isn't that wonderful? But you've got to be present, and you've got to put this into the little box, which we'll tell you a little more about later on to qualify for that particular draw this afternoon. So please do take cognizance of that. Furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, if I may just have your attention, I know you just love the sound of my voice over this mic. I could get carried away and start to sing. So, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to, you'll notice we have a number of beautiful young men and women out in the foyer area dressed in black, and they are our crew staff for today. For those of you on the trick mark, they are our runners, but of course we're not talking about runners, we're very professional. We are at a high-stakes conference, e-learning conference, which I'm proud to say we are streaming live, ladies and gentlemen, which is a first for any district, whether you be Cape Winelands, of course you know, Metro Central are the go-getters, and what can I say, if you've got it, you know, if you come from my community, what do they say? Okay, I can see from what culture you are, you don't know what that means. Alright, so without further ado, let's get down to business. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you need to go to that particular exhibition. Because we're saying very often you don't have time to engage with the exhibitors at hand. And that is where you can glean. I always say the exhibition area is like where you learn so much and glean so much when you're in the staff room. Sometimes you can go to so many workshops and you have a conversation with your peer in the staff room and you think, wow, what a lovely experience, and they tell you exactly what they've done in their classroom, etc. So likewise, in our exhibition area, that is where we say that is a compulsory area where you engage with our exhibitors and our partners today as well. And thereafter we'll have that particular lucky draw. Inside of your package as well, ladies and gentlemen, you have 2 color tickets. The one being for tea time, you have a blue ticket. If you have a blue ticket, tea will be served in the hostel area. Please don't shout it from the back. Juan, where is that? Look at your floor plan, ladies and gentlemen. And then, so for the blue ticket for tea, you are in the hostel area. And then if you have the yellow, you'll notice we stayed away from black and white. So the blue ticket, ladies and gentlemen, being the hostel, and then the yellow ticket being in the cafeteria. When it comes to lunchtime, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to lunchtime, may I please ask that you all collect your lunches in the cafeteria area. All right, thank you so much. And having said all of that, I trust that you feel most welcome being at this world-class conference here today. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you, I trust that you have all your wonderful goodie bags, and we welcome Mr. Pinari here with us this morning, sir. Thank you so much for being with us. Who will be our other keynote address speaker. So, ladies and gentlemen, having welcomed all and sundry, I now ask for your attention as we sector, ladies and gentlemen, whose mission is saying that quality education is the mission of this particular individual, who is Mr. Brian Schroeder, our head of education. And Mr. Schroeder started his career by studying at the University of Stellenbosch in 1973, where he obtained his Bachelor in Science degree. In 1974, he then obtained his snapshot, sir. And so thereafter it was B.Ed honours as well. From there we had Mr. Schroeder then be at Paul Roos Gymnasium as well as a head of department. And where our head student came from at the 2016 results was principal of Hermanus High School, ladies and gentlemen. Then became a superintendent as well, and thereafter of the region in Wynberg. Then became our Deputy Director General, and today, and I can continue, and the list will go on and on. And so, ladies and gentlemen, at the same time, also very value-based. And very at the moment, you'll know what our shrine is at the moment, enter to learn and move to serve. Because it's definitely the year of the teacher, and you are that particular person whom we celebrate here today, ladies and gentlemen. And so also, when Mr. Schroeder was interviewed, he had a photograph of Albert Einstein, and the photograph was hanging still at the back of the office for any of you who have the privilege of entering that particular office. And very often you want to put things in little boxes because that's what makes us feel safe. And when Mr. Schroeder was asked, why do you have that photograph of Albert Einstein?
But when you are the best, when you are the top, more bome vang die meeste wind. And therefore, it takes hard work to stay there. And more importantly, if you want to stay the best district in this country, you have to be at the cutting edge of innovation. And you have to understand, and the quality by which we measure it has to also morph. And we have to change it. So a lot is about creativity, and about imagination, about innovation, and about being prepared to do so. I glance over this audience today, and it's great to see the audience. Last year, I asked who were principal, and I'll say it until the test and examination outcomes and requirements. It's not teaching for assessment. It can never be teaching for assessment. That's one of the things that then worry me when we want to assess grade 3 and grade 6 results and we cram kids just before the test, because it's a systemic test checking the progress and the trends in our system, that we cram past tests so that kids can do the tests better. It's not about the testing. That systemic assessment ought to be able to be dropped in at any day so that we test how are our kids genuinely able to engage with the content knowledge in reading and writing, composing, calculating. And if we don't understand that, we're really missing the heart and the importance of education. Certainly, creating an enabling environment, which the game changer is all about. Creating the enabling environment is so that teachers can transform themselves so that learning can be transformed. Now, when we say teachers must transform themselves, I mean, that just scares the hell out of everyone. And I understand that. But if you reflect back in your own career, certainly I do as an old man, and I take a look over my career, I certainly did not do everything this year that I did doing as professionals. And you correctly say to me, do you know what the situation in our schools and our classes are? And the answer is, I certainly can't claim to know the experiences you know it every day. But I wouldn't be the head of education if I didn't have a great understanding of what's happening in schools and classrooms and on the ground. And if I didn't take trouble to try to understand it through speaking to people and speaking to kids, not only speaking to children. And so sometimes I wonder that when a teacher is in the rat race of teaching, whether you speak and think enough with other teachers, and whether you reflect enough with other teachers. And so all of us don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to reflect deeply on education. But I want to speak in a little while about the open letter I sent to parents yesterday. That open letter materialized 4 o'clock in the morning when I had leave between 2 weekends over the Easter weekend. In fact, it might have been over the Easter weekend. When I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I said, we've got to talk to parents. And so I got up and we had to type an outline. We've got to think and reflect. And you know why I spoke about that open letter? It's in the presentation, which we may or may not get to. I wanted that because there's something missing in education. We've got the best teaching corps in the country, in the Western Cape. Not every teacher is brilliant, but we've got the best teaching corps in the country in the Western Cape. We've got damn good schools. Not every school is a very good school, but we've got good schools. We've got schools that are dealing with gangsterism and drugs and violence on a daily basis, and they're doing their best to give kids a good education, or the best possible education given the context. We've got good curriculum, we've got good resources, we've got great resources in the Western Cape, despite the challenges that you experience everywhere. But if kids do not go to school to learn, with the sole purpose of learning, we will not have a great education system. If kids go to school just for the meal, they won't learn. If kids go to school so they can have sex behind the tuck shop, they're not going to be able to be successful. If kids go to school to buy or sell dacha or tip, they're not going to be successful. So it's important for me that we smuggle with kids' heads so that they go to school every day with the understanding that they're going for the sole purpose of wanting to learn something. And hence the mantra, enter to learn. We've got to instill an understanding amongst all our kids that that's why they go to school. And when they leave the education system, they leave it so that they serve the community and serve the nation. And in fact, as global citizens now, starting to serve the world. That's the education that we have to move towards. And every teacher in every classroom has to start understanding and to expand on your understanding that your role with a group of kids every year, and over 30 or 40 years, it's a lot of kids that go through your hands. You've got to understand that you touch the future. Never underestimate that value. Never get despondent about it. Understand that you've got a role to play in touching kids. And those of you that know me for some time will understand that as I'm in this job longer, I get more and more urgency about the fact that we still, in this province and certainly in the nation, we still have such diversity in learning opportunities for kids. Such diversity. And yet, we live in the 21st century, and we ought to be ensuring that we're preparing global citizens. It does not matter if a kid is going to the Bishop Schools of Skills in Bishop Lavis, where the principal was stabbed as well. That kid still has to be prepared to be a global citizen. It doesn't matter if we have a kid in the poorest community who lives in a shack and is a child-headed household that he serves. We all know that education is actually the only pathway for kids for a better life. Yep, the gangs tell them differently. The gangs tell them join gangs, you know, you've got money, you've got girls, you've got everything you want, you've got sex, you've got drugs. But it is not a final solution. And it's destroying our kids in the Western Cape more than any other part of the country. So the conversations that we have to continue to do this. Teachers must not become despondent. You must not be sucked into the reality of the tough socioeconomic circumstances because you make a difference. And because every kid has to get quality education. So deep learning, you will tell me, how the hell is that possible in the schools such as Bishop Schools of Skills, where there is trauma in this week? How is it possible? How is deep learning possible? Well, I thought hard 2 nights ago for a long time. What did I do? Did I close the school? Can't expect the principal to go back. What did I do? The next day, 10 of 22 teachers were absent. If I close the school, I'm sending the kids of the broader community down the drain. So how do we get a balance between getting our teachers in our schools safe or safer, so that we can give a quality education for every child, even in those circumstances? Well, every day that I think about the strategy for e-learning, I think we are closer to some potential solutions, or at least some remediation of some of our realities. And when I get passionate about integrating digital learning and digital teaching into our classrooms, it's a far deeper thing than just the hype of sending digital lessons or sending WhatsApps or linking to websites or downloading videos. It's far deeper than that. In my vision, I see, after I'm dead, so I won't see them maybe. But in my mind's eye, I see a place where kids actually can learn anywhere. So that in the Bishop Schools of Skills, if the school has to be shut down for a couple of days because of the nature of what's happening there, the kids are not dumped and isolated because they've got devices and they can go to a Wi-Fi hotspot that's in every community by the time you get where you want to be, or they can walk around near the school where Wi-Fi blanket is over the school and access through our e-portal digital resources. And they can repetitively go over something so they can learn more than the teacher just speaking once on a lesson. And they can engage with the teacher remotely. And they can submit tasks, ask questions. They can learn from one another. They can learn from kids in Finland or in the Philippines. The opportunities are immense. And today it's about innovation for integration, integration for innovation, integration for innovation. It's about integration for innovation because on the one hand, we need to innovate. Morning, Peter Weerts. On the other hand, we can't simply integrate with old stuff without understanding that there's new stuff that's coming along. So innovation, I think, is quite critical. I'm still on slide 2, and I was hoping, Mr. Pienaar, that you weren't going to come when you came right to the nippertjie, because I thought maybe I had an hour, not a half an hour. So I wonder if you won't please go away. Just kidding, just kidding. So the point that I really want to make is that I'm going to speak little about e-learning because I'm trying to tell you why it's so important. But we have to all understand that the entire e-learning strategy is rooted in our understanding and our drive for quality education for every child, in every classroom, in every school in this province. Must be our drive. The reality of the matter is that whilst it's not happening, I believe firmly that if we embrace technology for teaching and learning, we are able to move dramatically towards that. If we did nothing, if we sat on our backsides and continue to teach for another 5 years like we have taught in the last 5 years, the divide between affluent that have access to everything and the poor is simply growing by the day. Catch my urgency. Affluent kids have devices. They get born with iPads under their arm. Not even affluent kids. Let's just say, upper middle class kids. They get born with the devices. They've got ADSL lines at the home. More and more are going to get uncapped Wi-Fi as fiber rolls out in middle class communities faster than in other communities. The frustration is that it takes me longer to put in broadband in Mitchell's Plain and in Khayelitsha, because whenever we put fiber in, the teams are attacked and prevented from putting it in. It boggles my mind. Where's the community saying, guys, let us please support education? So if you want a quality education for every child, every classroom, every school, there are a number of things that we have to do. And one of it, in my view, education is actually about the child. I'm afraid it's not about you. Sorry, guys. It's not about teachers. It's about the child and it's about learning. But I love you all. Because teachers remain the most valuable asset in an education system. And that's exactly why when we started out last year and when I was asked to act for a while and then appointed, we decided that we will declare 2017 the year of the teacher. It's a small symbolic attempt to start celebrating our teachers, recognizing our teachers, recognizing the importance of teachers, recognizing that teachers touch the future, telling you guys that the job is tough, but it's an important job, and starting to respectfully engage with our teachers and schools and principals, starting right from the top from this department, and we won't get it all right, and I'll bungle it still, but making sure that districts engage with respect with principals and with teachers, and that we start debating. In top management in this department now, for every top management meeting we have, we are starting to reflect on one of the values that we are espousing in every meeting. What does respectfulness mean? What does it mean to respect schools? And there are many factors in the way in which we need to engage with schools that ought to show how we respect our teachers and how we respect our schools. So, teachers are the most important asset. And we also have to recognize that unfortunately the teaching profession is often tainted by one or two or some teachers that bring it into disrepute. We must continue to say that they are not welcome in education. They cannot be. But we must not allow it to taint the profession so that hard-working, dedicated, passionate teachers over many years get tainted by the small percentage of teachers that are doing inappropriate things and that are not committed and that are late and that come to work drunk and that are absent on a Friday and a Monday. We cannot tolerate that. Our kids cannot tolerate it. And then this week, with a principal that was stabbed multiple times, thankfully it's an isolated and rare occasion. But more and more, even it's not a physical assault. School where a girl bumps a female teacher against the chest. That's assault. And I won't tolerate it. Nope, they say, you know, maybe the kid's got diabetes and she happened to drink alcohol and so that affected her and so she was more aggressive. I don't care. You shouldn't have had alcohol. I have sympathy with the diabetes. But we cannot tolerate that kind of action against teachers. So I'm prepared to take risks even in disciplining kids of that nature. You're the teacher, we must show support for our teachers and start getting community to stand up against those issues. And so I don't have time now to just show you the open letter that I sent, but the open letter's intent is to try to get parents and guardians of all communities to start getting kids and supporting kids to go to school with the understanding that they're going to learn. It's a hell of a tough job. And it does not happen by a single letter. It does not happen because I say it once. But any systemic transformation, and later on Dr. Conrad will be talking in this session about change management. Any systemic transformation that is worth doing means we all have to say it, we all have to get on the same page, and like any education, we have to do it repetitively over time. That's the way you drive systemic change. And anything that I suggest, for example, greater parental support and understanding, I believe that we can make a difference. And let me tell you why. A couple of years ago, it's maybe 5-7 years ago, when we drove the Vietnam strategy. In the Vietnam strategy, teachers said, no, we can't. Look at the kids, look at Shane, look how poor they are. How can we do better? Look at their background, look at where they live. And it took 2 or 3 years with, what's it have to work though, with constant habitual engagement. You start changing the mindsets of teachers. And suddenly, some kids started doing a bit better. And it lifted performance in this province, recognized internationally in the 2010 McKinsey report. It started to lift the performance of kids, even fetal alcohol kids in the West Coast, in Vredendal. Nothing is impossible if we get our mindsets right. And we understand it's a tough ride, and we prepare to go for it, and we don't just do it alone, but we do it collectively. Lots and lots and lots of lessons in that. That's the purpose of the open letter, and it's a letter that I also hope the schools will send to. Perhaps just the following issue, and then I suppose I must wrap up now, Bas. Must I wrap up already? Yes. So I'm on slide 3 of 65. But some of you have seen, who of you have been in this session last year? A couple of you, so it's a pity I didn't have the full time, because there's lots of stuff that you actually need to know. I don't want to detract from the other events, because I'm going to say I'm quite happy to do my presentation as one of the events in the next 2 sessions if you want to. Maybe I must offer that, but I don't want to detract from the other valuable sessions that are out there. Anyway, the unveiling in 2005 of Pope Benedict looked like this. This is a pic in St. Paul's. That's what it looked like in 2013, 8 years later. Everyone had a device. Everyone was busy filming and videoing it. 2005, no one. 2013, everyone. That's 13, that's 4 years ago. All of your kids have got devices. Are you using it in teaching and learning? Are you still banning cell phones because they take inappropriate videos? Or are you capitalizing on the kids' innate affinity with technology, which we don't necessarily have? But are we changing our mindsets about how we engage with our kids moving forward? Now, the whole game changer is about helping set the scene for creating an environment, an enabling environment. So, by July of this year, all our schools will have broadband connectivity. By June, actually, all our schools will have broadband connectivity, linked. High-speed, rapid broadband connectivity. All schools. So all schools and teachers will be touched. We're creating over a 3-year period slim labs in all schools, so that in all schools there will be spaces where kids can go to access digital resources in the school free of charge, and points where teachers can do so. They're called universal schools, all schools. But more than a third of our schools by 2019, that's in 2 years' time, more than a third of all our schools in this province will have a Wi-Fi blanket over them and the ability to have, in fact, more than 40% of classrooms digital classrooms. More than a third of our schools, we call them enhanced schools. In fact, I believe that's going to accelerate because more and more funding is going to come in from the corporate world. This which I'm speaking about now is government funding. And as we show that the money which we spend in enabling is being taken up, as illustrated by the enthusiasm and presence of teachers Saturday in and Saturday out, holiday in and holiday out. People will start saying, we've got private sector people here, we've got publishers and digital guys here, they'll start saying, there's something happening in the Western Cape that is worth supporting. If they see the teachers, but more importantly, if you see teachers starting to stick their toes in the water and use it. Unafraid, what's the adverb from unafraid? Unafraidly. Just stick an L-Y behind it. Without being afraid of making mistakes. Don't worry that your kids know more than you about it. They do. In any case. So what's the point of worrying about? Use your kids to help you accelerate. Use your kids to help you set up things. And so, that enabling environment, we're also experimenting in 16 schools, 2 in every district that we call model schools, where we'll put everything in, including devices for all kids. We've got a hell of a challenge with theft and with tracing these things, etc. But the reason is so that those model schools, we can learn lessons to roll out further. Those guys must become lead examples and lead teachers to share with all districts. The 2 schools in Central are
Lita and Heideveld.
Lita and Heideveld. Lita and Heideveld. Heideveld's a big problem. It was vandalized the other day again. So I don't know why the district chose Lita and Heideveld. It had to be because there's good engagement, good leadership, good progress, etc. But nonetheless, we must see how also in the Heidevelds of this world it can work. Because we can't say because Heideveld gets vandalized, we won't go there. We can't say because leaders in a tough environment, we can't go there. We have to make it work there. So the selection of schools across the province are diverse and across the space. I want to maybe just go, most importantly, in conclusion, to teachers. And there's a lot of stuff that's been happening, 7,000 classrooms already and all kinds of stuff, slim labs. We're doing 455 a year, creating slim labs. That's a hell of a lot. Boss, so that's how it looked. When I try to share through 455 slim labs a year, I can understand it's a tough call. But this has already happened. This is already in place, that green column. 1,000 of our 1,400 schools already have broadband linkage in this province. We already have, for this year, for this new year, 17 lands created. On top of the 178 we have done already Wi-Fi. 178 of our schools already covered, 70 in the new financial year of the 120 odd that we're going to do in this year. And that costs, a land costs about 1.5 million on average. A lot of money. It's an investment we are doing in transforming education. And part of that is not only to make life more difficult for teachers, it's also about one of the things that we're driving is changing e-admin, creating admin systems that make your life easier as opposed to more difficult. Smart classrooms, 5,000 approximately already in place. We're also refreshing labs every year, 126 per year. Learner devices, we're putting in the model school. We can't afford to give every kid a device. But every kid almost already has a device, not an optimal device. And we will experiment in our model schools with devices, and we will then bring in, where possible, bring your own device where kids and families can afford it, so that we can subsidize and spend our money on poorer. But we need to learn that environment in somewhere, so we don't just go roll out and stick our heads in a hornet's nest. So we're learning about it from 16 model schools, 2 in each province, in all kinds of communities. Middle class communities, poor communities. Difficult circumstances, Heidefeld, Lita, examples of such. But what I really want to wrap up with, besides the content which is exciting, this portal is going to change in its look and feel, because we are flexible and moving. And in our experimentation and in our research of teachers and learners in the use of it, we're going to make it far more first page land, subjects and grades. So you go in and you see subjects and grades. But the plan is far bigger in the digital hub that we're creating. We're creating an ecosystem over the next number of years that has a digital classroom, that has a library, which is a resource, if you like, of digital, that the portal is actually going to morph into the digital library with resources. One of our subjects, Peter, already has, for every grade, for every curriculum aspect, across the entire grade already has at least one resource, digital resource. Are you going to show a geography example in your presentation? What were the two that you said, Peter?
Business studies and maths.
Business studies and maths already have a variety. Geography already has snap scan videos available. The telematics videos which we had have been cut into bite sizes and we're uploading it onto the portal. Teacher, is Gafisa here today? She's working in West Coast. She's working in West Coast today. You must take her away from West Coast. Put her across there. And then exam hall is digital resources or online assessments. And we move, imagine for example if the systemic assessments were done online, kids did it on the device, you didn't have to do anything, go on the words, results come. Imagine if you are able to do tests, and the moment all the kids have finished their test button, you get an analysis instantaneously of which there are already examples of such software available in some subjects. Now, before I leave, that's a difficult thing to say because I haven't got a lot of time. We will have progressed significantly also in experimenting in this regard. Admin is key to make life easier, and this admin is not just the kind of stuff that Sada Evans wants to enhance, namely school administration, so that the department can. It's actually about classroom management and teaching management with your learners and automatic mark uploads and this kind of stuff. Playground is everything outside the classroom. In other words, policies or co-curricular stuff, etc. And the hub is the place where teachers. I want blog opportunities for teachers. I want places where teachers can share, can upload challenges and other teachers resolve it. So it's a chat room if you like. It's a teachers hub. So there's a lot of really exciting things happening in that space, but that's not what I want to tell you. I actually want to tell you, I'm going to go past this because that e-culture, what I'm going to speak about in it. I want to talk to you about the teacher stream in conclusion. Louis, you only said you only need 10 minutes now. so I'm really going to need this. Teachers are our main resource. And in the year of the teacher, we have to give opportunities for teachers so that you are enabling yourself in this transformation of education. And so here's some wonderful things that are happening in this space. First of all, the fact that you guys come on Saturdays, Saturday in, Saturday out, and you come to training programs, and you learn a lot, and you experiment, and you see what's on the market, and today you're going to see a wonderful example already. When Karen was talking about visualizer, I mean, every one of you wants one, don't you? At the moment in digital classrooms, we're putting one for every 2 classrooms in. Check the model school. It's a fantastic resource. The point is teachers need, of course, to be empowered and to empower yourself. And my emphasis is more on to empower yourself than to be empowered. We will create the opportunity to do so. But we would like teachers to take the responsibility to say, I want to, I need to, let me check, let me learn. We will then respond to your needs in as far as we are able to do so at a pace that is far better than we're able to do now. So we've created developmental levels for teachers in the digital field. and Dr. Heini Brunt, who's not here yet, has done fantastic work with a guy called Saeed, what's his surname? Achadin, and I'll share with you in a second what that is. So, many teachers feel they're at entry level, but some feel that they've worked on this for a couple of years, so maybe they're at a silver level. You know, some of our teachers, Khafisa, for example, might be at the total top level of engaging. And even Khafisa feels she can still develop hugely, and I'm sure she will. But if we then take a look further, those levels are described, clearly described, and easily described for you. Now, you might have an idea of where you are in your current operation. There are some that are maybe, say, entry level, you need to know a little bit more about switching on computers and so on. But mapped to each one of those levels, we have already identified training programs with partners, including Microsoft and Google, that have existing training courses that are able to help you move from the one level to the next. So if you're on a particular level, there are training courses that are able to do so. And eventually, these stages will lead to top teachers with top transformative levels. Now, it's not only teachers that need this developmental phase. We also have such a pathway for principals. Because a principal, as the curriculum leader in the school, also needs to understand with a slightly different mode is how do I lead that change? How do I lead things such as creating critical mass using teachers, blah, 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 etc. And our officials that have to support, not only the e-learning advisors, every single official in the district needs to have a growth path and an understanding and a developmental path. And so, one of the great things that I'm happy about is that we've developed a competency assessment instrument. And that will scare you too. Good. It's an online assessment tool that allows you to go on whenever you want to online and do the assessment, and it does a number of things. It tests your technical ability in the computer field. And it also tests your ability in a very clever way in how you are able to integrate the technology into teaching. It's got those two strands to it, because those are the two key things in integrating technology into your classrooms. And once that assessment is done, you've gone through it, you press a button and it immediately tells you at the moment you are on level bronze or level silver or level whatever. And that's not where it stops. That's great. And it's a self-assessment tool, and that's cool. But what it then does is it gives you a menu of potential courses that you can access for that level on which you are, based on the information that you've given on what you can do and what you need to know. And I'm not sure if it's available yet, but in the model schools where it's compulsory at the moment for all teachers to test this out, there will also be, following on that, automatic button pushing of the teacher that someone enrolls them into that course. And those courses will be some face-to-face, but more and more online courses. You can do it in your own time, your own space, etc. And as you do those courses, it tells you whether you moved or not moved, and it tells you when. And it's not a single course that moves you to the next level. It's a range of learning that moves you to the next level. Fantastic stuff. And I think it's online, and I'm going to end there. I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you, first of all, thank you for giving up your day. Thank you for coming today in your crowds and with your energy and your enthusiasm. The fact that you are here, some of you might have been told by your principals to go, thou shalt. But the fact that you are here is fantastic. And I salute you for the efforts and the commitment that you do to education in a tough environment. I hope that when you leave here today, you leave with a clear understanding that education cannot remain as is. And whilst we have of the best education in the country, we will not remain so if we are not innovating in the education space. And if we're not understanding that our kids are going into a world that we have to prepare them for better than what we were prepared. And so if you do that, and if you leave enthused but with trepidation, that's cool. Be a biggie bum. But if you leave enthused with a desire to say, I want to partake in this, I want to participate. I want to see if I can touch some kids in a better and a different way. And I'm open to trying it. None of the stuff is going to keep you out. None of the stuff is going to say, is going to demote you because you can't do this and you can't do that. Forget about that. Don't worry about it. Open yourself up to learning. It'll enhance your professionalism. It'll enhance your motivation. It'll make you better teachers than you are. And more importantly, it will help us in our aim of a better quality education for every child, in every classroom, in every school. Thank you. Sorry, Louis.
To our Head of Education, Mr. Schroeder, we want to thank you, sir, for your insights and for the valuable interaction with us this month, Head of Education. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, we're now coming to the second part of our plenary. We're coming to the second part of our plenary. Thank you that you read the body language. As my mother always says when we were little kids, she doesn't do a word in front of the guests or when you go to Auntie's house. She just gives you the look. And when you get the look, you know you'll get the touch when you get home. So I see some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, after having such a wonderful first half to our morning, and it's wonderful to be able to sit back and be able to be saturated with knowledge, with passion, commitment and dedication. So Mr. Schroeder, once again, thank you, sir, for your valuable contribution and for leading this particular province. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, and now from the big boss to the new kid on the block. And so for me this morning, ladies and gentlemen, it's such an honor and a privilege to have Mr. Louis Pinard with us this morning. And a very short background with regards to Mr. Pinard. Louis Pinard is a high school educator. Yes, I thought he just matriculated the other day, Louis. However, ladies and gentlemen, he is passionate, and I don't really fancy the word passionate, because I'm saying my dog is also passionate about her bowl of food. So I'd like to say he's deeply committed, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to innovation and integration with regards to pedagogy at his particular school. And the school that he finds himself at the moment is, and he's representing himself here today, but he's at Parklands College. So he doesn't represent the college today, but he represents an individual capacity. Furthermore, to his accolades, ladies and gentlemen, he also received the Award for Excellence in Education for iTeacher Award for 2016. And besides that award, the subjects that he focuses on, ladies and gentlemen, at Parklands College is none other than English and history. And I'd like to tell you, those are my two majors, so you're looking at brilliance. Thank you so much. And so, ladies and gentlemen, besides being an English and a history teacher as well, he's absolutely wild about music. I'm sure he's got a couple of studs under those shoes there. As well, but at the moment, Ruby is also busy studying to award a postgraduate degree in education technology and master's degree. And so, Ruby, we look forward to your contribution and your valuable experience that you'll share with us this morning. Welcome to the best district in the country, Metro Central Education District. Thank you so much.
As you can see, age doesn't matter.
Is this working? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. I can project as well, being a teacher, but if you can hear me, that's cool. Background story, actually, before I start, my father was a teacher. And when I told him about what I'm going to do here today, and I told him who else is speaking, he told me that actually Mr. Schroeder was the district advisor for him when he was at school, when he was a teacher in the late 80s. So definitely a consistent thread here. Okay. I promised myself I'd never get involved in education growing up. My mom's in educational publishing and my dad's a teacher, but here I am. So yeah, good morning everyone. Let me first of all thank you, Mr. Schroeder, for your insights and the work that you do. It's truly wonderful and we appreciate it. I'm very happy about the focus of your speech because it ties in quite nicely with what I have to say to you all today. Let me also thank the organizers for hosting me at this event and for organizing this. The activities look really wonderful and I'm really happy to be sharing this space with so much expertise and experience. I can already see a lot of activity with phones happening here, so I hope I'm not going to be, it looks like I'll be preaching to some of the converted, but that's okay. Let's continue the good work and make sure we've converted absolutely everybody by the end of the day. So if you are already connected to social media, I want to encourage you to use your phone throughout the day actively and start sharing what you're experiencing. Can I ask for a little bit of activity on your part? If you have a phone with you here today, can you please raise it in the air? Raise it in the air for us there if you have a phone. I'd say right. I tried to count, and it looks like a good 99% of the teachers here today have a phone, and the majority of them, the vast majority of them, are smartphones. Now, if we compare that to 10 years ago, we can see how the world has changed incredibly. I mean, the photo from Mr. Schroeder there with the Pope illustrates that point very well. When I started teaching, a whole 7 years ago, believe it or not, when I started teaching, BlackBerries were still the absolute top of the range. Which is still, it's fairly recent, but the rate of change of phones has been absolutely incredible. All right, color screens. Even while I was still studying, color screens were a new thing. Now I can order food, I can order clothes, and I can organize transport almost anywhere I want to just using the phone in my pocket. I can even ask my phone to tell me jokes if I'm bored. So that's the world of technology, and the technology in the classroom has changed rapidly, and we have been propelled into the 21st century. A recurring motif in the world of educational technology is the idea of the 21st century classroom. There's my Twitter handle if you guys want to follow it. Is this idea of the 21st century classroom. In the 21st century classroom, which I'm sure you'll be engaging with in the sessions today, we place the learner at the center of the learning process, and we use technology to facilitate this in order to prepare our learners for a very different future. Of course, learner-centeredness does not always seem to be consistently applied in terms of who is carrying the responsibility, but of course, teacher accountability is important. I feel like we could also, if we're going to make learning learner-centeredness, I think we can make the marks and responsibility learner-centered as well. But that's just me. Now, of course, what we actually mean by a 21st century classroom is something like this. Of course, where we have the learners who are in control of the process, right? They're using the technology, and the teacher, instead of being the sage on the stage, rather performs the role of the facilitator or the guide on the side. And we can see here from the expressions on the students' faces, there's excitement, there's curiosity, there's interest being facilitated through the use of technology. In this 21st century classroom, we prepare learners with the skills to face this uncertain future. What is commonly referred to as the 4 C's: creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, and communication. This is perfectly exemplified in the latest circular from National. I don't know if you all saw it, where the expectations of our learners, of what we are supposed to do with our learners today. This is not real, by the way. Don't worry if you thought you might have missed something from National. This is fake news. In my opinion, the idea of learner-centeredness, while it's a very important concept, I don't know if it's that new. For as long as I've known teachers, like I said, I grew up in a household of teachers. For as long as I've been involved in the education world, I've witnessed that everything that teachers do always has the learner in mind. We are learner-centered by virtue of the profession that we have chosen. We have chosen this profession because we believe we can make a difference to young learners and that we can make this ultimate contribution to the future. To quote the poet Walter Emerson a while ago, so you're going to have to excuse the slightly gendered language, but the point still stands that the whole secret of the teacher's force lies in our conviction that we are able to make a difference to people. I've never met a teacher who comes to the classroom and says, "Today I'm going to make Kieran fail. Today I'm going to do my best to keep my students at the bottom." I've never heard that. Never met that. In my experience, all teachers are dedicated towards making a difference for their learners. So, what I'm going to do today, though, at the risk of going against the grain of this common motif in 21st century education, is I am going to say, let's forget about the learner for a second. Of course, everything we do has the learner in mind. Of course. But today, in line with the theme of it being the year of the teacher, I would like to present a talk to you that is decidedly teacher-centered, or educator-centered in its focus. Today is about you. As Mr. Schroeder said, the teacher is the most important asset in the classroom. Everything starts with you. So, instead of focusing on the 21st century learners, as important as they are, I want to be focusing on the 21st century educator. Another reason why I want to do this, is because when it comes to e-learning conferences like this, it's very hard to assume that all of us are able to do the same things in our classrooms. We come from a wide array. I've taught in 3 different schools. I started teaching at a school in the Transkei with 60 to 80 learners in the classroom. I taught at Grooteskiet High School, Claremont, 4 years, and I'm at Parkland. So I've worked in different segments along the spectrum of South African education. So it's very hard for me to come and say, this is what you should be doing in each of your classes. Because our students come from different backgrounds with different assets and different resources that they have access to. However, if we take a teacher-centered approach to today, we can see that among us as teachers, there's actually a much greater equality. By virtue of this mobile device that you have in your hand, there is a common access for all of us as teachers that we should heed. With that mobile phone in your hand, through the use of social media, we can become 21st century educators. Now, social media has experienced a bit of a negative reputation in recent times. We all know about the food pictures, the never-ending food pictures. We have those on social media who think Their feet are interesting to share. I don't know why. On a more serious note, maybe slightly more serious, social media, especially Twitter, has come to symbolize something a little bit. It's also been prevalent every day on our news feeds. Now let me tell you a secret. It's the whole generational thing, sure, but I'm not actually a big fan of social media. I joined social media very late in my life, precisely because this was my association with it, that it involved frankfurters and toes on updates, alright? I wasn't interested, okay? However, this was only because I was a passive user of social media. I kind of followed what came around, and I didn't really seek out anything. I just kind of used it passively, and I allowed my feet to be overrun with this kind of nonsense. However, when I started to play an active role in utilizing social media as a tool, everything changed to me, and doors of opportunity became wide open. To show you what I mean, we're going to copy from our students for a change. Shake it up a little bit, and we're going to use a couple of C's. Not the 4 C's for the learner, but rather the 3 C's that illustrate how we, as educators, can become 21st century educators using social media. So I'm going to have to go quickly. That's why I'm going to fly quickly. Just give up. So, in the first place, we're talking about competence. All right. Now, let's be honest. We all know we've got difficult jobs. Teaching is a difficult profession. I envy all my friends because they seem to be living the life, and I am constantly working. Our job requires incredible interpersonal skills, incredible expansive content knowledge. We have to be able to manage our time, and we have to be able to run carrying 30 books and a cup of coffee at the same time. It's a difficult job. Yet, many of us only get opportunities to truly learn about teaching once we step into the classroom, which is after most of us have actually undergone our teacher training and gotten our qualifications and certifications as teachers. After that, the onus becomes on schools to have to provide professional development for each of its staff members. However, as we know, resources are scarce. There just isn't enough time or money to be able to give professional development to every staff member the whole time. And the expectations are increasing. We're expected to be lifelong learners who can be flexible in this fluctuating economy. We also need to model lifelong learning because we want our learners to be lifelong learners themselves. With social media, this has become possible. Through social media, we can create digital communities of practice. We can constantly learn, and we can always find ways to improve what it is that we do. It's an example of the Teachers Hub that Mr. Schroeder noted here. Many educators have developed online professional learning networks where they can share ideas and tips for constant self-improvement. Through Facebook groups and hashtags on Twitter, we are connecting teachers in a virtual space that some have called the best staff room in the world. I've also heard it called the virtual water cooler, or the virtual kettle where we make coffee together. For me, one way at least in which it's the best staff room is that I get to do professional development without having to wear shoes. But the real reason why it's the best is because it's an opportunity where we can learn from each other. And it's not just about learning skills, we can also find inspiration. If I share a personal story, or here's an example of the kinds of tips, and a personal story, the Excellence in Education Award, I actually was a co-recipient with 2 other teachers. We worked together on a project-based learning course called Path to Pan Am, which was an interdisciplinary project. But the ideas for it, the inspiration from it, came from Twitter. Right? We didn't sit and come up with it completely ourselves. We used what others had done. Without Twitter, there's no ways that we would have won this award. When it comes to utilizing ideas from others, my schizophrenic nature as a part historian, part artist comes to play. Use the ideas that are out there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every day you step into the classroom. Other like-minded educators have done what you do, and you can use their ideas. Of course, it is good to reference your sources. So by finding inspiration from some of the most competent teachers and innovators in the world, we can be like the best and keep growing as teachers. I use social media not just to learn new skills, but also as a constant reminder of the foundations and the basics that tend to get lost in the chaos of the daily classroom. Thus we can see how social media, such as Twitter, can be used as a professional tool to grow your own competence by building a shared body of wisdom online. In the second place, we have collaboration. Now, I'm going to go through this very quickly. This looks very chaotic. I'll zoom in a little bit. This picture was constructed by thousands, hundreds of thousands of users on the social platform Reddit, who each contributed one dot at a time. Over time, this picture was developed without any planning, without any direction. It just organically grew. This is an example of how social media can allow us to work together in ways previously unimaginable. Some people use social media as a microblogging tool, so there's the feet and the breakfast and so on. But beyond that, it is also a platform for online collaboration. I've seen entire weddings get planned through a Facebook group. And it's incredible. Anybody that's planned a wedding knows how complicated that can be. If we go back to 2009, in Iran, an entire revolution was organized through Twitter. Locally, we've had our own hashtags and social media campaigns that have organized people around a common cause, telling them where to be, when to be, what to do, etc. So the potential is there. It is just up to us as teachers to embrace it. On Twitter, we use hashtags. I see hashtag as tuning into an FM radio frequency. Instead of going to 94.5, I tune in to EdTech, hashtag EdTech, or hashtag ADE chat, and I join the conversation. I invite you to do the same. The last C to talk about is the Iran Revolution. And here's some great EdTech chats. I will be tweeting about some of these after the talk. And the last bit is confidence. What I've found in my years of teaching is that often what I do never goes outside of my classroom. Sure, 15 years from now, Sarki will hopefully be a mechanical engineer, and that's where it goes towards. But I get excited about what I do. I come up with new ideas, I do things, and I never have a chance to share it with any of my colleagues. And this gets a bit frustrating, because I don't know if I'm always doing the right thing, and it's hard to stay motivated when you're the only person that's motivating yourself. You'd want to share with your colleagues at your school, but we all know that there's no time. We have 20 minutes, 40 minutes of break per day. All you want then is your coffee with 5 sugars. And when it comes to the start end of year function, nobody wants to be talking about 9A and your mathematical problems that you've had with them. Am I right? No one wants to know. And this is a pity, because we spend 7 to 8 hours a day, at least, coming up with ideas, innovating, and trying to improve our learners. Twitter changed this a lot for me because it gave me a platform where I could share what I was doing, find like-minded teachers, and get affirmation about what I was busy doing in the classroom. And I know that this group in front of me here has got a lot to share. From the awards that you've won to the comments that Mr. Schroeder has made, there's a lot of skill and expertise to share from this group. So, my plea to you is to share what you've done, what you're proud of. The letters that a learner wrote you, thank you for what you did. The new project idea that you came up with. Believe it or not, there are thousands of people out there who want to hear your stories. A recent campaign that has been started on Twitter in order to create a local digital hub for teachers is the ZA Edu hashtag. I invite you throughout today and through the rest of your teaching career to use this hashtag in order to connect with other teachers, to be inspired and inspire others. Twitter is as much about giving as it is about taking. So, I can see I'm out of time, so I'll stop there. Social media, in a nutshell, social media can help you develop the skills to make you a 21st century educator. Develop your competence, collaborate with others from around the world, and be confident. Share your stories. I'm going to use the opportunity for a photo op. If you are willing and ready and able and enthusiastic about using technology and social media to share your stories and to become a 21st century teacher, can I ask you to raise your phones in the air one more time? Let's get a photo. Lovely. With that, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm once again just going to ask Mr. Pienaar, and Mr. Pienaar, Louis, should I say, he says to me his dad is Mr. Pienaar, he's Louis. So, Louis, thank you so much for sharing with us once again what power that we have with regards to social media and how it enhances teaching and learning, and how we can then attract our learners, not just by chalk and talk, but by being visual with it, because that's what really attracts them. And so, Zania, I'd ask you once again just to present to our special guest, and thank you for the donation from Macmillan Education. Thank you so much. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are well in time. At this point in time, we've come to the end of our plenary. And what have you noticed when Louis was presenting? He used the laptop, he used the data projector, he used a tablet as well. And why do I mention all of this? The other day, I have 3 children, and my youngest son, Dante, I called him to dinner and he never heard me. And I thought, you know, this little bugger, I still need to do X, Y, and Z. And he's 12 years old. The eldest one's 21, Kewin, and then his daughter of 14, Carlin, and then, of course, Dante is the youngest one, 12. Yes, I know we're a little old for that, but okay, just keep those comments to yourself. I saw somebody saying, my Lord, 12 years old. You know? I can lip read, by the way. All right, but why do I mention this to you, ladies and gentlemen? Because I told him, but when I went into his room, he was busy playing a game, and the laptop was on in his room. He had his tablet on, and I shared this at one of the talks earlier on, and so he had the game, he was playing, television was on, laptop was on, tablet was on, and mobile phone. And of course, this is now me, mommy, in my mommy voice. You know, Dante, this is now absolutely ridiculous. And he looks back at me and he says, Mom, what do you mean? I said, but you've got all of these devices, electricity, and you know the usual mommy talk. And he says to me, Mom, I'm busy playing Minecraft, and for those of you who know Minecraft or Terraria, he's very much into building things and design, etc., and science. And he says, and I'm Googling on my laptop for any hints and cheats. He says, and I'm busy on the tablet, Mom, because I'm doing an online chat, because he's got these headphones with a little speaker. He says, and I'm busy WhatsApping whatever I find. I'm doing a voice note with my cousin on WhatsApp. He says, what did I do wrong, Mommy? Mommy said, no, you didn't do anything wrong, you just never heard me. But why do I share that with you? Because it was valuable, each and every one of those, and we're saying that we can't be left behind, ladies and gentlemen. I never want to be able to, so of course when he says, Mom, are you going to play Minecraft with me? Of course. The other day I was sitting in church with my mum, and we came home, and then Mum says to me, you know, Karen, at this age, you're almost 60 years old, I never thought you'd pull the skin off my face the way you did. And I thought to myself, the battery seemed to have gone flat there, and I said, what did I do? Now I'm thinking, I didn't doze off, you know. And she says, to think you were busy on your tablet in church? And I said, yes, Mom, I was. And she says, and you have the audacity to say that. And I said, but I was reading the Bible on the tablet. You get the Bible on the tablet? And so I'm saying, and so Mum is now 78 and Mum lives with me. And I'm very proud to say she's now switched from BlackBerry to Android. Of course, I am trying to convince her, I'm trying to convince Mum about Facebook. And of course, and Mum says, but everyone can see whatever you're doing. So I said, no, Mum, that's only what you allow people to see and what you want to post. But I'm saying if somebody, my youngest son at 12 and his grandma at 78 is now using Android, and when I'm doing PMDS and Mum sends me a voice note on WhatsApp to say, Sonia, let the alarm off, then Miss Nowers knows when I look at my phone it can only be Mum. Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor and a privilege it has been to be your program director for the first half of this morning. Later we will come back here for our lucky prizes. Now we will break for tea. I just want to alert you to one or two facts once again, that if you have a blue ticket, you will be hosted in the hostel. If you have a yellow ticket, you will be hosted in the cafeteria for tea time. For tea time. For lunchtime, ladies and gentlemen, all of us will go to the cafeteria. None will be yellow and none will be blue. I also want you, for those who'd like to take time out for prayer, there are salah facilities as well behind the conference center. So we have made provision for prayers as well, ladies and gentlemen. And then I'd like to also acknowledge at this point in time, I told you that Metro Central, I heard that Mr. Pinard, that Louis, taught at Grootskea High. And of course, you know Grootskea High is in the best district, Metro Central Education District. And so while we are having this plenary session, we also want to acknowledge our main sponsor, who's PPM Avia, using their CC30 camera, and we are live on YouTube at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. The first district to stream live a conference. I'm just saying that so Cape Winelands can learn from this. And so later on, ladies and gentlemen, what we will do, if you have joined our Twitter page, and we also have a conference page on Facebook, I will upload that link to YouTube, and you're most welcome. We'll put it up here later again, and then you can see the entire plenary of our Head of Education, as well as Mr. Pinard as well, live on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. At this point in time, allow me to thank you, allow me to thank our special guest, Dr. Brunt. Thank you for coming in, sir. For the moment I saw Dr. Brunt sitting down on the ground, I thought it was a virtual chair, ladies and gentlemen. And then as well, to Dr. Beards, who is our DDG, thank you for being with us this morning, and please do enjoy the day further. Adhere to the time frames of tea. Please adhere to the time frames of tea, ladies and gentlemen. There is sufficient for everyone, so don't run amok outside. You are now dismissed for tea. We will recommence